And my number one favorite episode of the 1967 Fantastic Four series is Rama Tut. While at the museum, Sue, Reed, and Johnny see a stone carving showing a man who looks very much like Ben Grimm changing into a human. They go back home only to catch Ben ready to leave the team.
You weren't supposed to come home till I was long gone.
What do you mean, Ben? Why are you leaving?
I was just gonna disappear. I'm sick of people's expressions when they see my ugly puss.
You can't be serious about leaving us, Ben. We're a team. Besides, Reed has something exciting to tell you.
Exciting? What is it?
Ben agrees to stay after being told of the possible cure. They decide to use a time machine Dr. Doom left in his abandoned castle and travel back to ancient Egypt. While there, they suddenly find that their powers are fading and they are weaker than they should be, which allows them to be captured. They are taken to the pharaoh Rama Tut, who strangely recognizes them.
You know us?
I thought that information would startle you.
Reed, something's wrong. How can he know about us? 3,000 years before we were born.
It's kinda weird.
I think the secret lies with Rama Tut himself. Your mind is indeed sharp as the ancient legend claimed, Mr. Richards. And this weapon is the gun that sapped you of your powers. The ultra-diode ray, invented by me 4,000 years in the future.
Rama Tut elaborates on his backstory. He hails from the year 3000, a peaceful era that he despised. He fancied himself an adventurer, and envied the Fantastic Four. He visited the ruins of Doom's castle and found the plans for the time machine. He built one and traveled back in time to conquer this land, although his ship was damaged in the process.
And so, I have been unable to leave this primitive period. Therefore, I have made this my home, and the people my slaves.
Well now, haven't you done just dandy?
Rama Tut zapped them all with his diode ray, enslaving them just like he has the people of his kingdom. While the male FF members are sent to work, he intends for Sue to become his bride. This episode is based on issue 19 of the comic, and while that was pretty good, it was never one of my favorites even from the Lee Kirby era. Somehow, Hanna-Barbera actually managed to improve on it, a first for an animated Marvel adaptation. For starters, I've always been a sucker for Egyptian-themed episodes of shows. There's something about the aesthetic that I've always found very appealing and fascinates me to this day. I guess it's a setting that really lends itself well to engaging adventure stories, and this is no exception. The episode is just dripping with atmosphere, especially the scene where we see the Fantastic Four under Rama Tut's thrall. Props to Hanna-Barbera for animating Sue wearing Egyptian clothes like she did in the comic. It's always great to see older animated characters wearing different outfits. This is also one of a couple episodes to feature the Yancey street gang who are always tormenting Ben in the comics. As much as I love the 90s series, they never appeared once there even during the second season, so this is one of those rare times the 60s series was even more faithful to the source material than my favorite version. There are other references to FF lore, like how the team has a wall with pictures of their rogues gallery on it, or Reed referencing the first time they ever fought Dr. Doom in the comic.
Remember Dr. Doom? He abandoned his castle. But there's a chance the time machine he left behind is still in working order.
The time machine also looks just like Jack Kirby drew it. However, the show isn't afraid to make changes to the story when it feels necessary. In the original, it was the Egyptian sun that turned the thing back into Ben Grimm, but here it's caused by a passing comet. While both explanations are out there, I can buy the comet one more than the other, as it passing by Earth serves as not only an X-factor nobody could have predicted, but also a time limit, prompting Ben to free the others before he changes back into the thing and falls under Rama Tut's spell again. Right as his fear begins to happen, Ben succeeds in grabbing the diode and frees Sue.
Here, take the gun.
I've got it, Ben.
Thank you, gal. That's better. Now, where's old Rama Tut and his bully boys? It's clobbering time!
Sue then frees her brother, who forces Ramatut to flee. Johnny then grabs the diode and frees Reed. After pursuing Ramatut and fighting some of his men, Reed gets the brilliant idea to try using the diode on their opponents, and it turns out that they were also unwilling slaves. With them taken care of, that leaves our heroes to break into the Sphinx for the final showdown with Ramatut, but the Pharaoh hides behind a trap. Sue shields them while Johnny burns a way out of the room for them, and I must say that this is my favorite visual depiction of Sue's force field in the series. Ramatut decides to leave this time, unaware that part of his machine has been wrecked and the Fantastic Four have to break out before the place explodes.
Sounds like Ramatut is winding up his time machine generators.
They'll never take that high RPM. Let's get out of here before they blow up. I'll give it the old college try and bust through the wall.
I forgot to mention that this series also references Ben's football days at college, which is another detail I love.
Here goes nothing. Just like my football days. Up, two. Here comes Banshee plunging through. Touchdown.
The team escapes right as Ramatut seemingly blows himself up. This would not be the last time anyone heard from him, as he went on to become the Avengers villain, Kang the Conqueror. It's complicated. All you need to know is that the fact Kang technically appeared first in an issue of Fantastic Four prevented him from appearing in any Avengers movies until Disney bought out Fox. Reed realizes that it's almost time for them to leave, and after Ben poses for the hieroglyph carving we saw at the beginning, the team returns to their own time. Practically from start to finish, I found this to be an engaging and even exciting episode. The pacing and execution are perfect. Every scene leads into the next with nothing dragging, and the voice acting as usual is great. I almost forgot to mention that Ramatut's voice was provided by the original race Bannon himself, Mike Road. He would also go on to voice Mr. Fantastic in the 70s series.
You have shown more power than I expected. You must be destroyed.
How many times have we heard that speech?
This is actually better than some second season episodes of the 90s series. Somehow, Hanna-Barbera made the story play out better on the screen than on the page. Even cutting out Alicia from the plot doesn't come across so much as a nitpick. In fact, it's actually an improvement for once. In the original story, the team traveled back in time to get a radioactive isotope that could be used to both change Ben back into a human and cure Alicia's blindness. But the time machine couldn't transport radioactive material with them, so cutting that plot point out makes this a single Shaggy Dog story instead of a twofer. In fact, this is even less of a Shaggy Dog story because Ben actually feels better about himself again after going on this adventure, so that's always a win, and one of the many reasons why this is my favorite episode of the 1967 Fantastic Four series.
I'm flabbergasted. That's the same one that the guy did yesterday.
Sorry the change to your old self was only temporary.
What the heck? Maybe it isn't so bad being the ever-loving thing. After all, I'm the only one that's an antique in his own time. For posterity.
As typical of the time, Hanna-Barbera's Fantastic Four lasted 17 episodes at least initially. 8 months after the 17th episode aired, 2 more episodes were made, but unfortunately they were both clip shows. I will say that they aren't as bad as my 2 other least favorite episodes of the series, but the reliance on past clips was still annoying, and I wish that Hanna-Barbera had just combined the budget from both of them to make a single, completely new story. The final episode aired on September 21st, 1968, but reruns continued for a couple more years. It's difficult trying to find the exact reason why Hanna-Barbera canceled it. The best explanation I could find is that it was because of parental concern over violence on television. While that might not be the exact reason, it wouldn't be at all surprising if that was what did the series in. If the clip shows were a sign of what was to come, perhaps it's just as well that Hanna-Barbera's Fantastic Four ended when it did. The 60s Spider-Man series is infamous for recycling animation from entire episodes of the first season in later years, and at one point even recycled animation from an episode of another show made by the same studio, Rocket Robin Hood. In some ways, it was better for Fantastic Four to quickly vanish rather than linger on as the budget got stretched thinner and thinner. Of the two clip show episodes, the second one, The Deadly Director, serves as a pretty decent finale for the series, with the last scene showing the Fantastic Four attending the premiere of a movie made about them, ending things on a surprisingly happy note.
That was quite a show, wasn't it?
Indeed it was, Sue. I had been curious about the series for a while, and I'm glad that I had this opportunity to analyze it, because this is easily one of the best 60s cartoons I have ever seen. It really managed to capture the spirit of the Fantastic Four despite the limits of 60s TV censorship and Hanna-Barbera's budget. I really like Spider-Man 67, and while there are some good adaptations of comic stories, overall Fantastic Four 67 is significantly better when it comes to production values and representing the comic it is based on. I have to admit that this was the hardest thing I have had to do a full review of so far, as it was difficult describing what I enjoy about the show because I did not grow up with it, unlike other things I have covered where the thoughts I shared have been bouncing around in my head for years. This is hands down not just my favorite pre-80s Marvel animation, but just might be my favorite one made before X-Men. Definitely recommended if you can get past the older animation. It is a legitimately well-crafted series that is truly a quality adaptation of the Fantastic Four, filled with excitement and even a surprising amount of heart.
It's the Fantastic Four Fan Club. They've remembered your birthday.
My birthday? Yeah, man.
What's wrong, Ben?
Nothing. I reckon this is the best birthday I ever had.
Unfortunately, this seems to be the only Marvel animated series that you can't buy on DVD in any region. While Disney owns Marvel, Warner Brothers owns Hanna-Barbera, so the rights are tied up in a legal limbo, which sucks as this show deserves a proper home video release or at least streaming. Warner Brothers should have released this while they still had the chance instead of the perils of Penelope Pitstop. Sadly, it would be almost 3 decades before we saw another Fantastic Four adaptation of this quality. The 70s was seldom a good time for television animation outside of specials, but the Fantastic Four had it especially rough with their 2 worst shows. The new Fantastic Four was infamous for replacing the Human Torch with Herbie the Robot. Ironic because the original Human Torch from the 40s, who Johnny named himself after, was an android. I was unfortunate enough to get the episode where they fight Magneto as a kid from a bargain bin on a VHS tape which had the audacity to put the Human Torch on the cover. And I never felt so ripped off aside from when I got 2 tapes from a thrift store with Ghostbusters on the label promising 2 hours of animated fun, and instead of the real Ghostbusters, I got Filmations. The reason for Johnny's absence is that he was apparently popular enough at one point that another studio acquired the licensing rights to make a movie or series about the character that never materialized. While it would have been nice if they could have included him here, considering the series is infamous for bad writing like Reed defeating Magneto with a wooden gun, I don't think that even the Torch could have saved the show. At least we got some good episodes of Marvel mashups out of it.
Great thinking, Sue. We're all safe as long as they don't cut along the dotted line.
Quick! Get the giant scissors! But don't run!
Darn.
Besides, it's still better than Hanna-Barbera's Fred and Barney Meet the Thing.
Okay. You be Barney Rubble, I'll be Fred Flintstone. It's time to yabba dabba do!
Flaming on, Fred!
Alongside new Flintstone shorts, we got a series where an attempt to cure Ben Grimm of being the Thing transformed him into a teenager who, when the need arises, can transform back into his rocky form by putting his rings together and saying, Thing ring, do your thing.
I gotta lay off Aunt Petunia's pink lemonade.